I have come to discover that lifting weights is a waste of time.
Did Mike really just say that lifting weights was a waste of time? Well, yes and no. He was talking about emphasizing the static hold and negative portion of the lift. Okay, but why would lifting the weight be a waste of time? Mike Mentzer was a pioneer in the bodybuilding world. One of his key methods was emphasizing the negative, or the eccentric phase of the lift. This is when the muscle lengthens under load, such as when lowering a weight after a bicep curl. According to Mentzer, this phase recruits more muscle fibers and causes greater microtrauma to the muscles. In addition to negatives, Mentzer also stressed the importance of static holds.
Dear listener, you would do much better to start holding the weights in the contracted position, only doing the lowering of the weight.
This involves holding a weight in the fully contracted position. For example, holding a dumbbell at the peak of a bicep curl. This method further enhances muscle recruitment and ensures that you're working the muscle to its fullest potential.
Let me give you the rationale. The pod lifts nearly as much weight as you can hold, and you can't hold as much weight as you can lower. On top of that, the positive, or the lifting of the weight, is a negative in that it is the one portion of the exercise that makes the deepest inroad into recovery ability. That is a negative. What I've been having my clients doing is holding the weights in the fully contracted position for up to 15 seconds. And then once they recognize their static strength is about to go, they start lowering the weight very slowly. And the results I'm achieving are literally phenomenal.
During the eccentric phase, muscles can handle more load compared to the concentric phase, where the muscle shortens. This increased load causes more significant muscle fiber damage, which, when repaired, leads to greater muscle hypertrophy. Static holds add another layer of intensity by keeping the muscle under constant tension, promoting further muscle fiber activation.
The purpose of a bodybuilder is not to lift merely heavy weights. That's a power lifter's purpose. Let me reemphasize that. As a bodybuilder, dear listener, your primary goal is not to lift heavy weights, but to achieve high intensity or maximum contractions of the muscle. Obviously, the only place that you can achieve a maximum contraction would be in the fully contracted position. That is the only position of the exercise where 100% of the muscular bulk can be activated. So here's the idea. Let's eliminate the positive. It doesn't contribute much to growth stimulation. Beyond that, it's even more negative, again, in that it makes a deep inroad into recovery ability. Start holding your weights in the contracted position, at least in those exercises where you have resistance in the contracted position, and then lower. Let's go back to the leg training. With my clients, I have been putting a heavier weight than normal on the leg extension machine, a weight considerably heavier than they can handle for 6 to 10 reps to failure. I help them into the straight leg contracted position, and they hold it there for as long as they can, literally, until they give me a signal that their static or holding ability is about to go out. And then I emphasize, now start to lower it very slowly under control. Then when they reach the bottom of the negative movement, I tell them to shake their hands out, take a deep breath, reset psychologically, and let's do one more. I've been using it most successfully on the pull downs. You can do it there because obviously once you get into the contracted position, there is significant resistance. You have to fight to hold it there. What I do is put a little bit heavier weight than they might use again for 6 to 10 to failure. I help them pull the bar down into the clavicles, which is the fully contracted position. They'll hold it, in this case, for about 6 to 8 seconds. Again, until the static strength starts to go, then they will lower it. It's interesting. I had one kid say, well, how come your clients are only doing to achieve high-intensity muscular contractions? On a deeper, more scientific contraction. On a deeper, more scientific, technical level, the science of bodybuilding exercise revolves around the issue of muscular contraction. The only position where you can achieve a full contraction is in the fully contracted position. For instance, at the top of a curl. That's the fully contracted position. At the top position of a leg extension, where the tricep, it would be when the arm is fully straightened and the elbow locked. Now, the problem the listener is going to have is finding exercises in his gym that will enable him to do this. Now, most gyms do have leg extension machines and pull-down machines. Fortunately, over here at Gold's Gym in Venice, California, where I train people personally, we also have a full complement of Nautilus machines, all of which provide resistance in the contracted position. But don't worry about it too much. Do it where you can. Try it with the pull-downs, the leg extensions. See what happens. Or you can come out to Gold's Gym here and I'll put you through a few workouts. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that this is literally one of the most stunning discoveries in recent bodybuilding science.
So how can you incorporate these techniques into your routine? First, start by slowing down the negative portion of each rep, taking about 4 to 6 seconds to lower the weight. Next, add static holds at the point of maximum contraction for a few seconds before lowering the weight. Whether you're doing bicep curls, bench presses, or squats, these principles can be applied to most exercises. Remember, the key is to control the weight and maintain tension throughout the movement.
The negative part of work, Steve, is by far the most productive and the most important part of exercise. And when you leave the negative work out of exercise, you have little or nothing of benefit left. There are a certain number of exercises that you can do in a negative fashion without help. Unfortunately, doing pure negative work is not practical for all exercises. But where possible, don't try to avoid the negative part of work. In fact, emphasize the negative part of work. Accentuate the negative part, because the negative part of exercise, quite contrary to the claims of the promoters, the touters of isokinetic exercise, the negative part of exercise is by far the most important part of exercise.